Welcome back to the Real Estate Rat Pack Radio Show with Chris, Joe, and Rob. The crew is taking your calls, so dial in at 1-800-808-5548.
And we're back.
She's starting to warn us that the mics are on.
With Chris,
Joe, and Rob.
That is correct.
Well, on the break we were talking about the different charities. So, and I do want to reach out to you, Chris, because you did in the last few months. You have given out of your pocket, your personal pocket, $3,000 to Sunshine Kids. And so that's pretty amazing. We had an event the other night that the Rat Pack showed up for.
Right.
And KB Homes, I'm going to do a shout out for KB Homes. They were going to match us up to $1,000. And so Chris says, I'll make up the difference. Wow. So we make sure they put up their full contribution. So
we're
awesome.
Shameless plug, but since we're talking about charities, it's an opportunity to promote this with my business partners have the same passion about working with local charities. That's something we're very passionate about. And for all of our referral partners, Chris refers business to us, and Rob,
yep.
and every time they refer a client who signs up with us, we'll donate $50 to one of the charities that we selected. Nancy Owens is one of those charities, for example. So it's a way for us to, through the efforts of a number of people, really make a difference in the community.
Yeah, and you said that you'd through the RPM, I guess you were able to raise about $800 for Nancy Owens.
Yep.
That's pretty incredible.
Wow.
That's really incredible.
Very good.
That's just trying to catch realtors. Realtors have been known to be a little cheap. I don't know if you've noticed that or not, but
I'm going to shift strategies on that.
If you can get $800 out of a group of realtors, you've really done a good
Well, I'm
going to wait till the end of the party to start asking for money next time.
Wait till they've had a couple
Lacey
drinks,
was
right?
talking about this, though.
Pre-donation lube.
Yeah. Well, Lacey was talking about this, that the millennials really like
Social
issues.
Right.
Yeah.
They definitely like giving back. They definitely like, is it Okra, the bar downtown, that gives to a charity every time you have a cocktail, and it is just packed all the time.
Really?
Because you feel
My
good
wife
about
watches
what you're
Okra on
doing.
TV a lot.
Another invoice, Okra, is that right?
Okra, invoice number 5.
Invoice number 5. This is going to be a pretty profitable show
maybe
today.
I should name names. But anyway, and what I've also seen is not only social issues, but they like kind of going back to not necessarily traditional things, but knowing where the sources are coming from, whether it be the food, meeting the vendors, farmers markets are really popular, things like that. They like to live in a large city but have a small town community feeling. They like to be very involved within their community.
I would agree.
Well, it's so interesting that this generation has been also called the Echo generation. The
Right.
Echo boomers, actually, is that they are starting off how we started off, because we were about the causes and issues, and then somehow or another in the 80s we became the acquisition generation, where we had to get new BMWs and big houses and all the trappings of making money. But I don't see that happening with your generation, because we were talking about this when you came on the before you came on the show, was that you're being very selective about what you buy and things like that.
Well, and in lots of articles I've read in Forbes and Realtor magazines and Seattle Times and New York Times, they're known. We've gone through a lot of economic times, I think, as a generation. We're in this age group, the 19 to 36, and so we've seen it at highs, we've seen it at extreme lows. We've come out of college sometimes, or been in college
broke,
when it really dropped a lot.
in massive debt.
So we're very selective about our purchases, and so they want to be very sure they have more cash saved up, I've noticed, and I'm in that
personally,
generation. And
I'm looking forward to my 50s because I'm going to be student loan free.
Is that right? Congratulations.
Wow.
And that's not too far from the truth.
but that's some of the things that some of the people who were talking about the spending habits, is that a lot of the people in the generation are coming out of college with huge debts from student loans, and things like that, and therefore they're not buying houses.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen that cat or that you'll take them in to get a mortgage, and all of a sudden they've got the student loan that's $40,000-$50,000.
Here's a trick, by the way. And I tell everybody I'm going to take advantage of saying this on the air. Is that this was a trick
it's your show, you can do that.
that I did a long time ago, and I think it's really good, especially if you have younger children. Okay, so a lot of individuals, they invest in their home. Their home is the biggest investment they're going to make, right? I would count, and don't get me wrong, in my case, I have a 529 plan set up for my children, et cetera, et cetera. But sometimes people don't have the ability to put all this money away in a short time frame, 18-year period to be able to pay for college. However, here's a trick that I've recommended, and it's worked out tremendously well for a lot of individuals I know. If you're going to buy a home, and you can afford to do this, and you're planning on having children, finance it under a 15-year mortgage, okay? When your children are about 18, generally speaking, in 15 years, you're going to want to sell that home because it'll be too big for your family anymore. That then becomes an aspect that you can assist your children in putting them through college. You have a home that's paid for free and clear. You have natural appreciation over a 15-year period, and then you're able to go out and buy a new home at that time with a large down payment and have a lot of extra money left over. You'll support your children through their college endeavors and not saddle them with some of that debt.
That's a great idea.
It's one of those things I tell everybody all the time. Get into those shorter term rates. Get into those shorter term mortgages. Don't do the longer term. And use it as a financial vehicle for family planning versus just a simple, I want to get my payment as low as possible. Just food for thought out there.
And yet another reason to work with an expert.
Yeah, like our caller, they're talking about, what are your goals?
Right.
You have specific goals of what you want to achieve. Yeah. That would certainly be something that you would want to
I
put
sit down with everybody and go over that.
consideration.
That is correct. Everyone, one of the things, just like what Lacey was saying, same exact thing has to happen on the mortgage side. You have to sit down and ask somebody, where do you want to be today? Where do you see yourself in 15 years from now? Where do you see yourself in 30 years from now?
Right.
What are those aspects, and how can you mold somebody and give them correct success and guidance to make themselves financially successful in the future? Because a home, I tell everybody, is when you finance your home, you officially become a home ower. Okay, as long as you have financing to it, right there. It's one step down from a homeowner, by the way. You become a homeowner when you pay it off, right? So, what is that time frame associated that you want to be a homeowner versus a homeowner? And so those are some things to look at sometimes. Don't get me wrong, I love financing, and there's nothing wrong.
I would hope you'd say that.
I absolutely love it. But you have to also look at financing. Exactly. But you also have to look at it from a perspective of financial planning. Right. And so it's not just a matter of what my payment is, it's where is my entire goal going to be in this period of time frame. Family planning, expenses, college, education, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
Yep.
Well, I think that's words of wisdom from Chris Kelso. No, I think it's a great idea. Now, when you all are working with new home buyers, are you kind of going over this with them as to what their options are? Time. You get them with a mortgage person, I'm sure that you.
Sure, absolutely.
But do they actually have that conversation that you just had?
Absolutely. A lot of times buyers come to real estate agents before they meet with a mortgage guy, and so they have a lot of questions regarding those things. So partnering up with a loan officer is very important so that you can get questions answered and prepare them for whatever number fits their goals and their lifestyle.
And it makes a difference.
Absolutely.
It's a budget item, but you do get those people on occasion that go, I don't know.
Well, sure.
And you have to educate them.
The one thing I have been seeing, and maybe Kat and Lacey can talk about this though, but I am seeing a lot more educated buyer, even from the financing perspective. They are coming in. They are, as you mentioned, more prepared. I think some of that reason is because a lot of times we're not seeing as marriage happening as young in life anymore.
Exactly. That is a huge difference.
Right.
Or not at all.
Right. I mean, my newlyweds are now in their 30s.
Yeah.
Whereas before, 15 years ago, they were in their 20s. Right. So, so you're seeing that, and part of that's that natural preparation. I think is that now they're coming in there. They're a little bit more financially prepared. Right. They're able to sit down. They sort of know where they want to go and what they want to do, and that's important. And so everyone's different. And I'll tell everybody this is there is no transaction that is the same. Every single one is different.
It is all different. It's always a learning experience.
And that's from everything,
too.
right?
I mean, sure, absolutely.
We just got the 3-minute warning. How does this happen? Every week.
Every week.
So what we want you to do is to kind of sum up what you want people to know from your appearance here today.
Okay, well, I'm Lacey Cannon with Heritage Texas Properties, just letting you know. And I really want people to know that it's important to, especially with the younger generation, since we were talking about them, they have different lifestyle types. It's really fun to represent them because they're extremely loyal. If you make them happy, they stick with you. They blog, they tweet, they talk about it. And also you get to experience both urban and suburban lifestyles. So you get that large city feeling within the community aspect. So I can help buyers, sellers in all those regions. So
And how can they get a hold of you?
they can. Do we give our telephone
If
number?
you want to.
Anything you want, however you want them to reach you.
Well, my cell phone number is 713-298-4449, and I'm with Heritage Texas Properties. Look us up on har.com, and you'll read reviews and get email address as well. So
Awesome. Thank you.
thank you for having us.
Oh, we're very excited about having and Kat.
Yes, and I'm Kat Robinson with Keller Williams Southwest, and you can reach me on my cell, 832-886-1550, or teamcat.net. And my biggest thing is every person has so much value here, whether they buy a lot for $16,000 or if they buy a $16 million property. And I'm here to help you walk the process, no matter how difficult, no matter how challenging it is. I'm here with you.
Well, real estate's easy. It can't be challenging.
It can be challenging,
Like
can it?
Hey, anything worthwhile will have its obstacles, right?
Absolutely.
You know, one of the things we always leave every show off is with a quote, and today is no different. The quote we've selected for today actually says the following. It says, "To be yourself in a world that is constantly trying to make you something else is the greatest accomplishment." You know, and I think that's very appropriate because we're always trying to accommodate ourselves to the moves and the changes in the marketplace. Be that chameleon, right? Mm-hmm. And the greatest accomplishment we can actually do is to actually maintain, you know, our integrity and our ethics and our morals going through that process of trying to accomplish what we want to do and trying to be the person that other people see us to be, but also stay within our own realm of being so.
And who give responsibility for that quote?
That you know, Teresa every week sends us out a quote. The great Teresa Kennedy out there. So Teresa, we love you very much. You know, for all those who want to reach us, go out to realestateratpack.com or look us up on Facebook. Until next time, we are out.
And you've been listening to the Real Estate Rat Pack. The question is, who's Frank, who's Sammy, who's Dean, and who's the other guy?
Chris is Frank,
I'm
he's
Dean.
Dean, and I'm Sammy.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
So tune in to the really big show every Saturday at 9 a.m. right here on 100.7 The Word, KKHT.